Is Barack Obama the worst president ever? So 4, 5, 6 years ago, that would have sounded nuts, would have sounded ridiculous. Now I think it's one of the most pressing questions of our day. Um, I do think he's the worst president of all time, and I'll get to my reasons why in a little bit. But I think it's undoubtedly a fact that the worst two presidents in the history of this country have been the most recent two, and that's a terrible trend as we move into the future, and it's a terrible trend for modern day contemporary society. So the other presidents that I thought were horrible, Reagan, terrible. Didn't like people of my skin tone at all. Set people of my skin tone back a lot. But I'd much rather have the freedom to fight that racial battle than live under a surveillance state, right, where there's no chance of dissenting or fighting for change, which is the direction in which we're moving. Um, some of the presidents that died in 32 years, they weren't good, right? I mean, 32 days to Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, whichever one. William Henry Harrison, I guess he was the one that served the shortest term, right? They weren't in office long enough to fuck it up. Andrew Jackson was a bad president. Still, I think taking freedom away from 300 million people sets you apart from your peers, and that is something that only George W. Bush and Barack Obama really know about. And as Bush was a terrible, terrible president, and he's a goddamn idiot. So that actually gives him a bit of a pass in terms of where he stood morally and policy wise because he's an idiot. Where I don't think Obama's that much of an idiot. I think he at least understands, which raises some other questions that aren't really pleasant to speculate on, but I'll probably get there by the end of this video. So we have Bush come in and he fucked up, and that's why 9/11 happened, right? He got all these reports and all this, and he's like, yeah, you covered your ass, go home. That's a quote from Bush, like 6 weeks before 9/11 when he was supposed to get a briefing about Al Qaeda's coming. They might hijack a plane. So 9/11 happened because of his incompetence, at least in large part. And then after that happened, he was like, he and right Dick Cheney, his puppet master, overreached on executive power more than any administration in the history of this country. And right, they passed the Patriot Act and all kinds of other nonsense, and they did wireless and warrantless wiretapping, and they listened to our troops have phone sex, and they basically shit on the Fourth Amendment and several other amendments. And so the American people, I guess, were scared enough in 2004 that they reelected Bush. And by the time he was done, he was so horrible that a sock puppet would have beat him. Enter the Democratic primary, and Barack Obama eventually won that by being the most liberal, which obviously now was a lie. He's not liberal at all. He was just fucking with us, right? And so Obama runs against Bush for being horrible because Bush was horrible. And he runs against Bush's policies for being horrible because they were horrible. And the American people understand that they were horrible. And so we elect Barack Obama to do what he says, which is basically undo the legacy of George Bush. We don't want to stand for torturing. We don't want to stand for indefinite detention. We don't want to stand for Big Brother. So Barack Obama comes in office, and immediately, I called it out immediately. Something is wrong. This dude is not on the level, not even close to on the level. He's not who he says he is. And I don't mean that in the conservative, conspiratorial kind of way. He's from Kenya. Even though if you wanted to argue that this dude was a Manchurian candidate, I wouldn't waste my breath arguing against you because he is a baffling person. Baffling. But he did not care about, and not in a traditional way about not caring about his campaign lies and promises, right? He ran on a very specific thing. Anti-Bush. I'm not Bush. I'm better than Bush. What Bush did was illegal and wrong and unconstitutional. So you get into office, and what do? You take the Bush-Cheney doctrine, the Bush-Cheney mandate, and you run with it. You set up the biggest surveillance system in the history of the world. In the history of the world, to spy on us, your own citizens. What the fuck is that? That's wrong. You're a liar. You're taking us down a path that we never wanted to go down and would never agree to go down. And you're spineless. You have, I mean, you still have said almost nothing about it, Barack Obama. Just spying on us, and it's sick. And the worst part about that is, at least 45 to 50% of the country was against these kind of programs when Bush was doing it. Like the liberals and Democrats were against him. You had some people, some libertarians and conservatives and Republicans, but way fewer than liberals and Democrats, right? Now Barack Obama has made the liberals and Democrats complicit in something that runs further away from their ideology than it does of the conservatives. And now that you have large coalitions of people that usually would speak truth to power, African Americans and liberals, basically propping you up, I mean, it's really scary. And I'm very proud of all the liberals I see on the blogs and on YouTube and things like that, speaking out against Barack Obama for being such a horrible president. But I don't know. What are we gonna get done? What are we gonna accomplish? That is to be seen. And the last thing I need to touch on here is the role of the media through both of these presidents. The media has propped up both of them and slapped down the dissenters of the government, people like Edward Snowden, people like Bradley Manning, right, under both presidents. But Barack Obama is so much more vindictive towards whistleblowers and people that speak truth to power than even George W. Bush was, and it's frightening. We become so much like what is Oceania in 1984, whatever country they're in. It's frightening. We become so much like East Germany. It's frightening. We become so much like whatever society in V for Vendetta. That is frightening. Everything you say, everything you do, that is not a face-to-face interaction, that's not in front of a camera, which now exists everywhere, it is recorded and stored for later on in case they need to crush you. And that's unacceptable. How are we going to have freedom? How are we going to have journalism and open debate and dissent when necessary when we have a menacing surveillance state that is designed to keep people complicit, quiet, and afraid? That is unacceptable, and it is unacceptable that a Democratic president has us in this situation. We must speak out. We must do something. Heck, people from Turkey, I guess they are Turks, right? They took to the streets because alcohol prices got raised, right? In Brazil, they're taking to the streets for much less. We are in the midst of becoming a country that we can't even imagine how horrible it's going to be to live here, right? When neighbors turn on neighbors, when friends turn on friends because the government pressured them to. We don't want that. We don't want our kids to grow up like that. We don't want our nieces and nephews to grow up like that. So we have to stop Barack W. Bush. We have to stop George W. Obama, whatever you want to call him. He is a horrible president. He has carried on the legacy of his horrible predecessor, and the two of them somehow need to go down as laughingstocks and turning points in American history, where the American people finally woke up and said, enough, that's enough. We are America. This is supposed to be the home of the free, right? We're supposed to be free. This is not how the society is supposed to be operating, and everybody needs to say that before you lose the chance to say it. Peace.